Hey guys! Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be learning about how to multiply polynomials. Let's get started. So let's say we have something like this as a problem that we need to multiply. We have x plus 3 multiplied by x plus 2. And we need to find the product of what these two would be equal to. How would we go about doing that? So the method that we use to multiply polynomials is called FOIL. FOIL is an acronym that stands for first, then outside, then inside, and then last. So using this method, we can multiply this polynomial. But what does FOIL really mean? Let's look at the F first. The F stands for first, which means that we take the first term in each polynomial and we multiply that by each other. So x times x is x squared. Next, we take the outside terms and multiply those by each other. So that doesn't mean the outside of the polynomial. It means the outside of the entire thing, the outside terms of the entire thing. So the term on the outside is first this x, and the term on the outside on this side is this 2. These are both on the very outskirts. So you multiply these two together. X times 2 gives us 2x. Looking at the third one is the I, which stands for inside. So we look at the innermost two terms and multiply those together. So that would be 3 and x. These two are on the inside. So we multiply them together. 3 times x gives us 3x. Our last one is the L, which stands for last. So we take the last two terms of each individual polynomial, which in this case is the 3 for the first polynomial and the 2 for the second polynomial. So 3 times 2 gives us 6. Now we know that x plus 3 times x plus 2 is equal to x squared plus 2x plus 3x plus 6. Now what we can do from here is further simplify this so we can get the correct answer. Remember, nothing is truly correct unless it is simplified all the way. So since this can be simplified further, that's what we're going to do. So we have our first term, which is the x squared. There are no other x squared terms, so there's nothing to combine the like terms with. Our next one is 2x. There is another x term that we can combine this with, which is the 3x. So 2x plus 3x is 5x. Our last one is the 6, and since there are no other numbers to combine that with, we can just put the 6 at the end, which gives us our final answer, x squared plus 5x plus 6. So x plus 3 times x plus 2 is equal to x squared plus 5x plus 6. If you notice, to simplify it, all we really did was combine like terms. If you need a refresher on combining like terms, there's a video up there in the top right that you can click to get a refresher on that. Let's move on to our next problem. Our next one says x plus 5 times x plus 4. Again, we're going to use FOIL to multiply these out together to get our answer. The first thing we do is look at the F in FOIL, which stands for first. So remember the first terms of each of the individual polynomials. So x times x gives us x squared. The O stands for outside, so we look at the outside terms of the entire thing of both polynomials. So we have x and 4, which are on the very outsides of this entire thing. So x times 4 is 4x. But wait, did y'all catch my mistake? This is not just 4. This is actually negative 4, because as you can see, we are not adding here, we are subtracting. So what we would have to do is multiply x by negative 4. So instead of that being x squared plus 4x, it would actually be x squared minus 4x. Our next letter is I, which stands for inside. So we multiply the insides of the entire polynomial. The terms on the inside are the 5 and the x. So 5 times x is 5x. Our last one is L, which stands for last. So the last terms in each of the polynomials are what we multiply, which is 5, and remember, not 4, but -4, since there's a negative in front of it. So 5 times -4 gives us -20. Let's go here and simplify it. So we first have our x squared term, and looking here we see no other x squared terms, so we can leave x squared as it is. Next we have to combine our x terms. So we have one x term and another x term. So we combine these two. So -4x plus 5x gives us just x. Lastly, we have our -20, and since there's no other plain number, we can just leave the -20 as is. So our final answer is x squared plus x minus 20. Moving on to the next one. Our next one says 2x plus 3 times x minus 8. So again, it's really the exact same thing as we've been doing thus far. We look at the f, which is first. So we use the first terms of each of the polynomials and multiply them together. So 2x times x gives us 2x squared. Looking at the O, that stands for outside, so we look at the outside terms of the entire thing. So 2x minus 8 are the terms. So 2x times minus 8 gives us -16x. We then have I, which is for inside, so we look at the two innermost terms, which is 3 and x, so 3 times x is 3x. And finally the L, which stands for last, so we look at the two last terms within each polynomial. So 3 times -8 is -24. Again, nothing is really correct unless simplified, so we can go here and simplify this. So 2x squared is our x squared term, and it doesn't seem that we have any more of those. So 2x squared can be left as is. We then look at our x terms, for which we have two, -16x and 3x. So -16x plus 3x gives us -13x. Lastly, we have our constant or our number term, which is -24. And it doesn't seem that we have any more of those, so -24 can also be left as is, which gives us 2x squared minus 13x minus 24 as our final answer. So now that we've explored multiplying polynomials, specifically binomials together, let's move on to something a bit more complicated. Say we have a problem that looks like this. So this is something a little bit different than what we're used to. What we've been doing thus far is multiplying polynomials with only two terms in it, or a binomial. For this one, our first polynomial has three terms in it, which is a trinomial. So FOIL only works with binomials if you're multiplying a binomial with a binomial. So since we have a trinomial coming into play now, FOIL won't work. So if we can't use FOIL, what can we do? So there is a method that we like to use, which we call distribution. So basically, distribution is when you take every term in every polynomial and multiply them together. So the method for doing this, to multiply every term in every polynomial together, is by taking our first term in our first polynomial and multiplying that by every term in the second polynomial. So a way to keep our thoughts organized, which I love to use, is by drawing an arrow from our first term to every term in the next polynomial. So I know what needs to be multiplied together first. So going through with this, we have x squared multiplied by, following the next arrow, x. So x squared times x gives us x to the third. Now we have x squared and we follow the second arrow, which leads us to -2. So x squared times -2 is going to give us -2x squared. So we have our first term done because it has been multiplied by each term in our second polynomial. So we move on from here to our next term in the first polynomial, which is 3x. So again, you draw the arrow from 3x to each term in the second polynomial so you can keep your thoughts organized. So first we multiply 3x by x because that's where the first arrow leads us to. So 3x times x gives us 3x squared. Our second arrow from 3x leads us to -2. So 3x times -2 is going to give us -6x. Now that we've completed our second term, we're going to do the exact same thing with our third term, which is 2. So you draw the arrow from 2 to each of the terms in the second polynomial. So 2 times x is going to give us 2x. And then you follow the arrow again. 2 times -2 gives us -4. So this is our unsimplified answer. So our last step is just to, again, simplify it. We start off with the highest term, which is the x cubed term. And it doesn't seem that we have any other x cubed terms, so we can just write x cubed. Our next one is the x squared term. So we have one x squared term and another x squared term. So we're going to combine these together. -2x plus 3x gives us x squared. Our next one is just the plain x term, and we have two, -6x and 2x. So we're going to combine those together. -6x plus 2x gives us -4x. And our last one is our constant term, which is -4. And it doesn't seem like we have any other constant terms, so we can just write out -4. So x cubed plus x squared minus 4x minus 4 is going to be our final answer for this problem. So here's why I like distribution better than FOIL. With FOIL, you're restricted to only multiplying binomials together. If you're trying to multiply two trinomials together, or a trinomial times a binomial, or if you want to multiply a quadrinomial times a trinomial, you won't be able to do that with FOIL. However, with distribution, you can multiply anything together. Even a binomial times a binomial, you don't have to use FOIL, you could also use distribution. Distribution can be used to multiply any polynomial, no matter how big or small, together. So let's move on to our next problem. So our next one says 3x squared minus x plus 4 times 2x plus 1. So again, we're going to use distribution to multiply these together. So remember, we take our first term and we draw our arrows from the first term to every term in our second polynomial to keep our thoughts organized and to know what we need to multiply the term by. So we have 3x squared, and following the first arrow, we get to 2x. So 3x squared times 2x gives us 6x cubed. Now we follow the second arrow from 3x squared to 1. So 3x squared times 1 gives us 3x squared. Now, since we've done both of these for our first polynomial, or our first term, we can go to our second term and multiply the second term by each term in our second polynomial. So negative x following the first arrow gets us to 2x. So negative x times 2x is negative 2x squared. Now we follow the second arrow and we get to 1. So negative x times 1 is just negative x. Now we do the exact same thing for our third term, which is 4. So we draw our two arrows. So following our first arrow, 4 times 2x gives us 8x. And following our second arrow, 4 times 1 gives us 4. So now that we've run out of terms in the first polynomial, we can say that we are done. And all that's left to do now is simplifying our answer. So remember, you always start off with the highest term, which in our case is 6x to the third. There are no more x to the third terms, so we can just write that as is. Our next one is our x squared terms, for which we have 2, 3x squared and negative 2x squared. So 3x squared plus negative 2x squared, or just 3x squared minus 2x squared, is going to give us x squared. Our next one is our x terms, for which we have negative x and 8x. So negative x plus 8x is going to give us 7x. And our last one is our constant term, which is 4. And there are no other constant terms, so we can just write the 4 as is. So our final answer is 6x to the third plus x squared plus 7x plus 4. So that's it for today, guys. I hope everything was clear and easy to understand. If you like my videos, please like and subscribe. Also, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comment box below. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Bye!